Did you know that the Spartan Empire was so ruthless that it used the execution of helot slaves as a rite of passage during the agoge? Believe it or not, Spartan prospects were sometimes tasked with unaliving helots to instill fear and obedience through a secretive practice known as Krypteia. Sparta was built on the backs of helots, enslaved people who outnumbered citizens but were brutally oppressed. These slaves were beaten, humiliated, even forced to wear animal skins. During festivals, they were mocked with drunken parades, used as living warnings. Treated worse than animals, helots were kept in fear to maintain control. Some Spartan prospects proved themselves by partaking in the Krypteia. In ancient Sparta, only death in battle or childbirth was honored. Others didn't even get marked graves. Newborns were inspected, and if weak or deformed, they were legally abandoned. The sick were discarded, and women were judged by their ability to birth warriors. Even sick or wounded soldiers could be disposable if they were unfit. You've probably heard of King Leonidas, the guy who held the pass at Thermopylae with just 300 Spartans. But did you know he wasn't Sparta's only king at the time? While the rest of Greece had one guy calling the shots, Sparta doubled down. Sparta was ruled by the royal Agiad and Europontid families. By splitting leadership, they created a culture where unity mattered more than ego. One king from each house ruled together. One led in battle, the other stayed behind. Back home, King Leotychidus was in charge, handling internal affairs and keeping the city running while Leonidas faced down the Persians. The kings weren't just figureheads. They commanded armies, led religious ceremonies, and had a real say in government, but they didn't have unlimited power. The Gerousia, a council of elders, and the ephors, 5 elected officials, could challenge or even overrule them. Sparta made sure no one man could dominate.
It's 1921, and a young woman is dancing wildly to syncopated rhythms in a smoky Chicago speakeasy. Religious leaders are outraged, newspapers are running sensational headlines, and parents across America are convinced that civilization itself is crumbling. All because of music? Welcome to the Jazz Age, when a new sound sparked one of America's most dramatic cultural battles. In the aftermath of World War I, as radios and phonographs brought music into homes across the nation, jazz emerged as both an art form and a social revolution that would change America forever. The music was unlike anything heard before. African-American musicians in New Orleans had created a bold new sound that mixed ragtime, blues, and improvisation. As jazz spread north during the Great Migration, it brought with it what conservatives saw as dangerous new ideas about race, gender, and morality. Religious leaders thundered from their pulpits about jazz's savage rhythms. The Ladies' Home Journal warned that jazz caused mental weakness and moral decay. One prominent rabbi declared that millions of young Americans are going to hell with jazz music. Even some scientists claimed the music's syncopated rhythms could damage the human nervous system. But young Americans couldn't get enough. They embraced new dances like the Charleston and the Black Bottom. Women bobbed their hair, shortened their skirts, and danced without chaperones. African American culture began influencing mainstream fashion, language, and art in unprecedented ways. In 1922, New Orleans banned jazz bands from public parades. Chicago tried outlawing jazz in dance halls. The city of Zion, Illinois, made it illegal to even whistle on Sundays. None of it worked. The music was unstoppable. Jazz represented something bigger than just entertainment. It embodied freedom, rebellion, and racial integration at a time when America was rigidly segregated. In the words of band leader Paul Whiteman, jazz came to America 300 years ago in chains. The chains are off, the prison door is open, and jazz has escaped. By 1928, even as older generations continued to resist, jazz had transformed from scandalous to sophisticated. It had reshaped fashion, dance, race relations, gender roles, and youth culture. The Great Jazz Revolution showed how music could break down social barriers and change society itself. Today's debates about rap, rock, or any new musical style echo the jazz controversies of the 1920s. It reminds us that when young people embrace new forms of expression, they're often dancing toward a different future, even if it makes the older generation want to plug their ears and pray.
What if your money suddenly became worthless? That's exactly what happened in 1690 in Massachusetts. It was the first American colony to print paper money, and it led to big problems. The colony had no money left and no silver or gold to use. So the leaders made a desperate choice. They printed paper money, called bills of credit. At first, these paper bills were worth the same as silver coins. But before long, the government kept printing more and more of them to pay off debts. With so much paper money out there, its value dropped fast. Prices went up, and people needed more bills just to buy the same things. By 1749, it took 1/100 paper shillings to buy what just 100 silver shillings used to get. Businesses failed, people lost their savings, and angry crowds took to the streets. Things got so bad that Britain finally stepped in and banned paper money in the colonies. This early experiment with paper money taught the American colonies a tough lesson. Printing too much money can lead to disaster.
Imagine centuries of human knowledge vanishing in the blink of an eye. In April 2003, amid the chaos of the Iraq War, Baghdad's National Library and Archives suffered one of history's most devastating cultural losses. Over 400,000 precious manuscripts, some dating back to the Ottoman Empire, disappeared without a trace. The library held irreplaceable documents chronicling the birth of civilization, including texts from ancient Mesopotamia. As American forces entered Baghdad, fires mysteriously broke out in the library. In the ensuing disorder, organized thieves systematically looted the archives. Despite international outrage and extensive investigations, most of these priceless manuscripts remain missing today. The theft erased countless chapters of human history, from mathematical discoveries to ancient poetry. Some scholars estimate the monetary value in billions, but the true cost to human heritage is immeasurable. 20 years later, the search continues, while the empty shelves stand as silent witnesses to this cultural catastrophe.
Imagine a moment when Europe's two greatest kingdoms lost their rulers almost simultaneously. In 1422, fate delivered an extraordinary twist that would reshape medieval Europe forever. Within just 2 months, both King Henry V of England and King Charles VI of France died, leaving their kingdoms in turmoil. Henry, the brilliant warrior king who had nearly conquered France, succumbed to dysentery at just 35. His death left his infant son, Henry VI, as king of both England and France. Meanwhile, the French king Charles VI, known as the Mad, due to his mental illness, passed away shortly after. His son, Charles VII, would now challenge English control over France. This remarkable twist of fate reignited the 100 Years' War and set the stage for Joan of Arc's legendary rise. These deaths marked the beginning of the end of English dreams of ruling France, forever changing the destiny of both nations. Did you know that in 1609, the people of Okinawa were banned from carrying weapons under threat of death after a brutal invasion by Japan's Satsuma? Believe it or not, that ban gave birth to a secret rebellion that would one day shape the world. Karate. Picture it. An island kingdom stripped of its defenses, its peaceful citizens suddenly ruled by foreign samurai. But instead of surrendering, Okinawans transformed everyday farming tools into lethal weapons. By day, they were farmers. By night, they trained in silence, passing deadly techniques in whispers and shadows. What looked like dancing was, in truth, a hidden art of survival. The island's fields became dojos, and a culture born of peace forged a martial legacy under the weight of oppression. From those secret roots, karate exploded into a global phenomenon practiced by millions across continents. A system born in secrecy, perfected in silence, and unleashed on the world, not with violence, but with discipline, honor, and resilience. October 1929, Wall Street was booming until it wasn't. After years of stock market optimism, panic finally hit. It started on Black Thursday, October 24th. Investors rushed to sell. Prices plummeted. 5 days later, on Black Tuesday, October 29th, over 16 million shares were dumped. Billions of dollars vanished in hours. Fortunes were lost. Some banks failed. And this crash wasn't just a blip. It triggered the Great Depression, a decade-long economic disaster. Did you know that in 1161, The church was given royal permission to run the sex industry. Bishop Henry of Blois was authorized by King Henry II to license, regulate, and tax escorts and brothels just beyond the City of London. Believe it or not, the Bishop of Winchester became the de facto overlord of London's red light district, transforming escorting into a church-funded business. Under his watch, Southwark turned into a legal zone for everything the city outlawed, including escorts and street theater. The women working these church-sanctioned brothels became known as the Winchester Geese. To be bitten by a Winchester goose didn't mean affection, it meant disease, often incurable. Syphilis and gonorrhea ravaged the community, and in an age that blamed illness on sin, the escorts bore the burden of public shame. Ever notice how your social media feed seems to know exactly what you like? It's not just clever programming, it's actually a mathematical certainty. Imagine walking into a hall of mirrors, where each reflection slightly enhances your existing features. That's exactly what happens with recommendation algorithms. Every time you click, like, or share content, these algorithms create a slightly stronger version of your preferences. Here's the fascinating part. Mathematicians have proven that even perfectly neutral algorithms will automatically create echo chambers. It's like a snowball effect. The more you engage with certain content, the more the algorithm shows you similar things, making your views increasingly stronger. This bias amplification happens without any malicious intent, purely through mathematical principles. The same system that tries to show you what you love accidentally traps you in a bubble of your own preferences, shaping your entire online reality.